Live. Oh my gosh.
Hello, hello. So good to be live with you, hanging out and chatting.
I know we are ready. I don't even, this is the first time both you and I have ever gone live on Substack. And so, yeah, let's figure out what we're doing as we go along.
Well, first of all, we need to talk about your cute hair and how darling it is. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
It was a massive chop.
I,
I know it was like such a thing. My hairdresser was like, "Are you sure?" I don't want to
I
get
mean, sometimes you just have to do fun things and try out some new do's. It's all good.
I know.
So
Yeah.
maybe you should probably tell us a little bit about you, and then I
Yeah.
should tell about me since we might not know each other's audiences that are here.
Exactly. People are like, who are these people and what are they doing here? And they're just chatting. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Stephanie Thrower. I am a psychologist and I'm an AI coach. And I help people, I focus in on how AI can help people create courses to teach better, more innovative ways. And also, I use an assessment system with AI to help them along the whole process of creating courses so that it's much easier and not only just to teach better, but to then sell the thing. Because, it's nice to sell a course, not just make it.
Absolutely. And just a little bit about me. My name is Angelina Shively, and I have been in education for 25 years as a teacher, principal, technology coach. And I just decided I'm ready for a change. And I entered the business world. I didn't really know much of anything, and I'm just learning as I go, which is exactly what we're modeling here for you. So I'm
Yes.
so excited to be here with you today.
I'm so excited. Angelina and I have gone live and talk. Well, we've talked a bunch, but we've gone live a few times, and I could talk to Angelina all the time. But I think that your background in education is just so powerful for teaching people about AI, actually,
Yes.
because we have a lot of people with incredible knowledge, deep knowledge about coding and AI and everything that's involved, but sometimes it feels so inaccessible. So I love the way that you teach us about the
Thank
thing.
you. And likewise to you. I think that's what's beautiful about this is we can be in the same space and everybody brings their own talents and their things that their background and their information to the table. So if you're joining us live, say hi, tell us where you're from, what you do. We can see in the chat. So that's kind of fun.
I know. I'm never able, when I go on Facebook Live, there is no comments available to me. So
Yes.
I'm never sure. I think people come in later and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that they asked really great questions.
Right.
We actually had some questions. So our topic today is we're going to focus on community building and how communities really help actually in the course process. And we're going to specifically focus on Skool, which you have been diving into.
Yes. And it was definitely one of those things that just like as in entrepreneur world, trying to figure out what it is that we offer, what is our strength? What do we want to provide to our users? And one of the things that I really reflected on was like the power of being in a community, because often as entrepreneurs, it can be very lonely. You're out testing your product and trying new things. And so one of the ways that I wanted to bring people together, I had been a part of a couple of different school communities. And I thought, it's a great way to kind of house everything in one. So, you know, obviously there's the people aspect of it and the people that you're bringing into the community, but also there's the interaction piece, and that's what I love about it. So like with a traditional course that you might be selling, the user's working through the information independently, and sometimes it's helpful to process and share ideas and share things. And so I noticed that when I have a school community, we can go live in the community and be together. And that's one of the things that I have found most powerful. So in a very short amount of time, I actually, and we can get into all the nitty gritty, but I designed my community. I changed it up to be freemium. So it's free to join. But then there's a tier that if people want to have further access, then there's a fee. So it's like for mine, it's $29, which is very minimal, but they get access to every week a live call. And so we get together, and a lot of times it's just people sharing ideas like, I tried this. Does anyone have any recommendations? And we'll go through and talk about it. I did a Q&A yesterday, which I was a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure. But it was so amazing because people felt comfortable. We've gotten to know each other, and they came together and they were like, oh my gosh, this is what I did, and we were like, oh my gosh, you need to teach a course on that. That's so good. And so just that synergy and the power of growing with others is really amazing.
Totally. A lot of people that I work with, I mean, I'm so used to working one-on-one. Although when I was in grad school, I had to teach classes, I had to do like the group stuff. And of course, I was in a ton of classes myself. But when you're so focused on doing one-to-one work, I think that, yeah, you want to scale your business. That is often this next step. But I think we underestimate the work and philosophy that's embedded in how do I build a community? How do I make learners not feel alone? And I wonder, I mean, I imagine you have a lot of thoughts on that. So can you tell me where you're at and how you shape your space in that way? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first started, I was unsure of how much to actually put, and I can do a little walkthrough so people could see like what it looks like on the back end if there's anyone who's never used Skool before. But, you have the content piece, but then you also have to find ways to engage people around the content. And so Skool actually has, it kind of seems a little bit silly, but there's leaderboards and ways that and that all happens naturally. You don't have to do anything when you set it up. And so it just provides like little boosts, and you can run challenges in your group. So for example, I did like a 7-day artifact challenge where I taught people, okay, here's what a Claude artifact is. And here's how you can use Claude artifacts in your business. And here's some sample templates. So there's a lot of just different strategies that you can use, just like much like you would in a regular classroom that you use, inside of Skool, right?
I know. Yeah. It's so interesting because I remember using like Blackboard a lot in our in like grad spaces, and it was just like so clunky. And I feel like the professors were really trying to get us in there and engaged. But when I experienced the layout of Skool, it's just interesting the architecture that goes into making it simple and accessible.
Yes. And I wanted to highlight on that, the differences, and this is what I think about adult learning, like there you were forced to have conversations. Like you had to do, I still do it honestly in my teaching, but I'm like, okay, you have to make 2 comments, but this is authentic. People are excited because it's a topic that they're interested in. So anyone can make a Skool community, and it's around a topic that you are an expert in or just love, really.
Yeah. And I think one thing that people run into, there's a question about this in Facebook talking about like, how do you get people to Skool, right? Yeah. And you have a large group in Facebook, and ostensibly like you could almost create this, right? And you could do almost most of the things you could offer in Facebook that you offer except for maybe the tiers. But yeah, what was your process? What has it been like to get people over?
Yes. So here's what I notice about Facebook is you may or may not, like I have a group, it's over 1,000 people. And I am the only one posting in there typically. I'm posting the initial content. I may get some comments or thoughts. Hi, Rhonda. Good to see you. And hi, Owen. I don't know who you are, but welcome. So, so the problem that I was noticing is that I am putting out all this content, but there's no one really necessarily having like engaged conversation around it or an opportunity to meet up and hang out. And so that was the piece that was missing for me. And as I was studying and deciding, like, where am I going to land my feet? Because I have high level. And so certainly it's included. There's a community aspect of it. But what I observe from my own behaviors is that when I'm on high level, I'm doing it for work. I'm not there to really necessarily go there to learn. And because Skool is designed as a learning platform, it felt very authentic to make it there because that's where people are going to hang out because they want to learn something. So that said, that's where I decided to kind of build. However, you still have to do the pieces to drive people there. And so that happens with your same things that you're doing for your business now. If you're using social media to advertise, so you're highlighting community members, you're highlighting wins, you're highlighting what we talked about, just sharing the behind the scenes, and then it makes people naturally curious. Same idea of, we always are learning, like, send 5 messages a day. So I say, hey, I've got this really great community. Would you like to join? I'll send you the link. I tried a strategy today, which I think is going to work beautifully. Substack. So you have people who are subscribing to your newsletters. You're automatically sending them, a response like, hey, thanks for joining. But one of the things I noticed, I have grown in the last month. This blows my mind. I have grown, which again, to people who are like out there with a lot of followers, this is nothing, but I've grown on Substack to 100 people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? That's crazy. And I think what has happened is that, like, those are people who are interested in AI. They want to learn about it, right? So as they subscribe, I send them a little message like, hey, and it's authentic because I can study their profile, just a real quick look over, see what they do and how they're using AI. And then I send them a little message and say, hey, so glad you subscribed. I also have a free community on Skool. Would you like to join? And then I had 5 people join the Skool community that way,
Yeah. It
Sorry,
does.
I'll stop to breathe because I'm very excited about all of these opportunities. So I'll share. I'll let you share.
No, that tip is so key. I think there's a way you can automate that, right? Of just going in your welcome letter, right? But I actually love the idea of this connection check where you're going and doing a little bit of work to understand who they are and then trying to, sales is hard because I think we can feel like, yes, oh my gosh, right? But instead of it thinking of it as oh, I need to get this sale one day, thinking actually like, how do we start a conversation that feels natural so that one day they want to have more conversations with me, right?
Right. And I think the thing that I feel anyway about my community is that, like, I'm not really trying to, I am trying to sell the membership, obviously, but there's so much value in it that it's a no-brainer for people to join. Like, they get, can I share my screen?
Yeah. I want to see what this looks like when you share your screen too.
Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so here we go.
Oh, cool. That looks awesome.
Okay, great. So this is the community. It's AI Amplified Entrepreneur, and we'll pop that in the chat if anyone wants to join. But there is so how Skool is structured. When you set your community up at first, you have different categories, and then every time you make a post, much like on Facebook or anywhere, it comes in here, and then people can comment below. But you'll notice the difference. There are lots of people having conversation. It's not just me, right? Other people are posting, or, hey, I have a question. Here's something that I wanted to do. So as your community grows and people get more comfortable, that's so powerful. But right here in the classroom, and I have to tell you, when I first started, I only had 2 modules. And the idea is that you don't have to have this big, giant vault of information. It's going to grow as you grow. And so this is only maybe 4 months old, but I really, decided, okay, I want to start here section. I want to house some free videos and resources. And then, I'm going all in on Claude. And it took me a little while, but I realized, okay, what I really want to do is have a mastermind each week. So I decided that's one of the pieces that will be consistent. And then when we go live and have our mastermind, then they're recordings that people can come back and reference. Now, the way I have mine set up is there's multiple plans, if you will. So, and I'll show you what that looks like. Skool right here. So you can set it up. You can have to where people join and they have to pay to join. So like $5 a month or whatever. But I set mine up, which is called a freemium model. So, and I realized this is helpful because I can bring more people in. That cost to enter is nothing. So they can come in, see the lesson, see what we're doing. And then if they want to upgrade, then there's the premium level. And then there's the VIP level. And how I have that structured is I do a 2-hour build-a-thon each month. And so I'll offer it to anyone who wants to take that class. But if you want to get it with the membership, there's a little bit of a discount there. And so that's how I structure my, plans. And then this is what I also love is there's a calendar. And so when you come into the community, you can very quickly see what's going on for the week. And so, here's the mastermind, add it to my calendar. And then it puts it there for me so that I remember that it, when the sessions are, here's the build-a-thon. So like, what's it going to be for this month? Join the Zoom link or whatever. So that's a little bit about the community.
Amazing. Okay. So dumb question, or it feels
no dumb questions. We say there's never any dumb questions.
When you go live, are you going live in Skool? Or are you going Zoom? Like where? And yeah.
You can do whatever you want. So there's multiple options. So when I go live, if I were to just click go live, it would be right in Skool. But you could set it up to where each of the events has its own Zoom link. And what's super cool about it also is that if you're on Skool, it just records it right there. So what I like to do is just download that recording, pop it on YouTube, publish it, and then I put the link there. Now, the reason I do it that way is because, unfortunately, sorry for my free members, they don't get access to it. So I have it protected. So if you were looking at this behind if someone was logged in, they wouldn't see in the classroom. They don't have access like some of these. So the AI Mastermind, it'll have a lock on it.
Right.
And so when you would click it,
Yeah. And so just for I don't know, efficiency purpose, so say you go live and you want to just populate this mastermind, do you have to put it up back in, or does it just go right there?
It would go on a post. So it has an option to either download it or share it as a post. So out on this main screen, it would be here in the community. Yeah.
Okay. And then it goes right into your mastermind, or are you into that module? It's just going right in there. Are you populating that module?
I'm populating it now. And the reason why is because I'll show you how it looks.
Yeah.
It's so not here, this is just a YouTube embed.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Right there. So it's on YouTube. It's private, and I don't share
Got it.
That. And I mean, when I say it's so easy to create, you just do this pencil and it has all the little icons up here and you just pop your YouTube or whatever it is in there.
Amazing.
It's so simple. But I think the thing when you're first starting out is to not feel overwhelmed by that classroom and feeling like you have to populate it all. You just have to start. And so think about minimum viable things that you want to do. And I'll let you share because I know you were kind of kicking around the idea of getting started, right?
Yes. I mean, I think that I love seeing the levels, and like it looks like there's quite a few levels you can actually do in terms of the numbers you give it and the prices you give. Is that what I
Yeah,
saw?
I think 3 is the max.
3 is the max. Okay. Yeah, because I was hoping to, because it's such a nice gathering place, instead of using Go High Level for the community. And I find when I have small masterminds or small groups, the Facebook group I create for them is kind of, they don't think to look at it,
Right.
because
Right.
and they're not really engaging in it because maybe they're just so busy and it feels like a distraction, right?
Yes. And there's so many other places to go on Facebook. There's this. So the way I have it set up is like on my phone, I get a Skool notification, and it's usually, you can change your notifications and if you're in a bunch of different groups, but I have mine set. So when anyone comments or, does something in the group, then I get a notification about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that piece, because I was really kind of going backwards and thinking about a mastermind where I wanted to support like just continued people that I've already worked with, but they want to work on accountability and goals. And I was thinking about that being kind of the highest level, right? And then kind of working down, just like you did, having the freemium, having some kind of middle thing, and thinking about, well, what can I offer them that would be valuable, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also you can, in that classroom where those little squares are, you can have like one-offs. So let's say you have a $17 something that you want to sell. You can grant access to like certain people. So like, for example, I give all of my things to my premium members. But if you want to just sell it, it could be a storefront too. So you have something for $17 or whatever, you want to put there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the thing that stops people too, like, what are the barriers to starting a school? People, like we talked about, how do we get people over there? And I wanted to add too that I think that once some organic marketing seems to work, it feels like an easy thing to put ads towards too.
Yes. And so I am exploring that. There's a wonderful group called Grow with Evelyn, and she has lots of tips for creating Facebook ads and putting that out there.
And next week, I'm going to be interviewing on Substack, Andy. We're going to talk about running ads, setting up ads in like really short time. So tune in.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome to just, because I know ads can feel kind of just next level and expensive and out of our reach. And I think that they're actually probably a lot more accessible. And I think if we kind of go on this idea of, okay, what if I start a group and I run ads towards it, that could be a nice mechanism for this steady group of people that we're trying to reach,
And one of the things that I've been hearing about is, so it's hard to sell people on a community. What you sell them on is what's inside the community. So like, for example, right now, I'm really talking a lot about Claude artifacts, and I have a course on Claude artifacts. It's free. So come over to my Skool community, go to that classroom, learn about Claude artifacts. You'll get to know me. You'll get to know a little bit about those things. And then voila, now you're interested, right?
Totally. Yeah. It makes me think about what are the first things I do when I make the investment and buy a program or a course. It's not really, I don't go in and go check out everyone's profile. I go in first thing and I'm scouring the courses. I'm like, what's in this? And I just want to know the overlay of what I can get and kind of, I guess it's like estimating what you can learn across the time that you're working with someone. Right. And I think this is also, if I would imagine so for me, my bigger course lives in Go High Level.
Yep.
But I can see someone getting a taste of this and seeing oh, okay, I like the way that she's teaching. I like how it's just a nice way to move people into that kind of relationship, right?
Yeah. And what's super cool is there's different levels. So like if you're just starting out and you want to try it out, it's $9. And so you can pretty much access anything and make an entire school community, right? And so in theory, you could test it out, try it. You could even bring things in from Go High Level because it would have, you could house it there as well. So it allows you to kind of play a little. One thing that I want to hit upon because I think it's really important is like that thing of being overwhelmed and not knowing where to start. Because sometimes when you start a new thing, you understand the benefit of it, but you're like, where do I begin? So I created this little guide for everyone, and go figure, it's a Claude artifact. And rest assured, I'll be sharing it, everywhere. But I'm going to share my screen now because I love this idea of really breaking it down to super simple. Okay. So build your school community from scratch. And here is a lovely link. If anyone would like to start a school community, I will tell you it is an affiliate link. And that's another benefit of Skool. They give you, are you ready for this? 40% commission or affiliate link of every one that you bring over to Skool. So, I mean, I say that I'm not trying to sell it to anyone, but it's a nice little bonus. Like if I'm talking about it and I do really feel this way, why not benefit from that? So,
I think it's awesome.
Stephanie, when you start your school community, you're going to use that link, right? And so here we go. So in this document is like, okay, why Skool? How do you get people to Skool? So it's hyperlinked and it has a little definition for everyone about the benefits of it. And then how do I actually get people there? So the things that we talked about. And then the next section, and there's a little checklist in here.
Amazing.
So you can go through and see like, okay. And then here's how to actually set up your school community. And so this is where you go, you create your group, setting up your calendar. And then and this is where your expertise comes in. So like, creating a course, it doesn't have to be perfect. And so this is where go join a couple of free school communities and see what's out there and see how other people are doing it so that you can, get some ideas, right?
Totally. And I think for a lot of people that I'm working with, there's such genuine, decades-long, rich expertise that I actually think, the biggest problem isn't the overwhelm of the space, but it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do it all, right?
Yeah.
And I talk to so many people, they're like, I think I have like 6 courses. Mm-hmm. And so and part of the psychological work is editing and saying like, I can't do it all. And so for me, when I think about the school piece, it's kind of knowing where it fits inside the business ecosystem.
Yes.
Right. And I think it doesn't have to be perfect, right? That's where I get stuck too. I'm like, there has to be this perfect funnel or plan or whatever. But I think that it's knowing that this is a part of your ecosystem, right? And you have different ways you work with people, but this is one of the central hubs that you invest in that relationship and that building that community, right?
Absolutely. And so for example, like one of the other ways that I work with people as you do is like one-on-one coaching. So I have found that even my members that are in there, we're meeting and they're only paying that $29 a month or whatever. But then they're like, ooh, I want to go deeper. I want to have a session. So then guess what? That coaching link is always available so they can book a call. So it's kind of like you said, figuring out what is your main goal? What is your main purpose? And then how could that fit into that system?
Totally. We talked to Karma Spence last week about writing books and the relationship between books and courses. And I think what she kept bringing us back to is, what is the goal,
Mhm.
right? Because with, sometimes with books, it's like, oh, I just want to show everything I know, or I just want to like show that I'm an expert, versus no, I want to have more speaking gigs, or I want to be able to I want to do consultations this way or that way. So it's kind of knowing like, where does this live? And that actually reduces the overwhelm, because it doesn't need to be everything, you
Yes.
know? Yeah.
And so my suggestion would be to just say, what are the things that I want to hit the ground running with? If it's a support meeting for a topic that you guys are working on, whatever it is, and feel free to comment
Totally.
the chat and tell us, like, what ideas do you want to brainstorm? I know, Rhonda's here, and she is an expert in the nomadic lifestyle, and so her school group is focused on how do you live a location independent lifestyle. And so, starting with like, what do you want your members to really walk away with, I think is the most important thing. So really identifying that.
Okay, so this question is like a little more psychological. And I think people who I work with, it's really, I think when you're trying to scale and you're wanting to relieve the burnout of one-to-one, or like what it's like to be a direct teacher, right? Where you're like right in there.
Right.
I think sometimes when we're building these courses, these programs, there's sort of like I don't know, like I don't want to manage more people.
Yes, I felt the same way. And when I first got into it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just another thing that I'm going to have to post to, whatever. But I'm going to tell you, it is the highlight, honest to goodness, the highlight of my week is getting together, because I'm with people. And we have been talking over and over about that human connection. And that's really what we're all here for in the first place, right? And so to be able to have a space where we can come together and like share our entrepreneurial journeys, or whatever the focus is, it's so powerful to make those human connections. And I find that a lot of times, wherever I'm sharing something, I'm sharing it in school too, because they're going to get a notification. And I can also send an email right from school that I know is getting delivered to everyone. And so it's like icing on the cake, really, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that same
like
extra.
Right.
Right. Yeah, because I think Facebook can be a place where you're like managing the interpersonal dynamics that happen. It sounds like for you, it's just a different space that's been self-selected but I also have to give you credit, because I think you just exude positivity and support and like moving forward. And so I think that that's also the kind of leader you are in these spaces. So
you're so kind. Thank you. I try to be. But I do think the more we lift others up, it will come back to us tenfold, and so that's one of the things that I really do. That's who I am and what I believe. And so I think that comes across in the community,
It is. And I think that that's a little bit, I do a little bit of values work with people, of thinking, because I don't think a lot of us are trained enough about leadership. Maybe you were like in your process, but but how we come in and what kind of leadership we want to offer in these spaces, I don't know. And it comes through, I think, not just in this like big way, but also in all the little ways that you make decisions about what even goes in your school, right?
Right.
Of like, okay, I don't want it to be too overwhelming. I don't want it to be fluff. I don't want it to be, I think like you can read that throughout the course. Like, I don't know if you've ever signed up for someone's course and it's just been so underwhelming. When you finally get in there, you're like, what is this?
Right. And I think getting member feedback is so helpful too. So you have this group of people and you can be like, hey, What's everyone interested in learning about? You don't have to always be the expert. So like yesterday in that Q&A, I was like, everyone is really interested in, which I still have to learn about, but how to use, they're using Lovable as a blogging platform. This is insane. We will have to talk about this another time. But basically it's creating blog posts like 3 and 4 times a day for them. And it's populating on their website because their website's built on Lovable. So that could be another topic for another day. But I was like, I've never heard of this. I have no idea what they're talking about. And I was like, why don't you guys lead this session? You tell us about it. So like never feeling like, even though, which I think in the space of when we're creating a course, we feel like we have to be the expert, right?
Totally.
But it's okay to learn from others as well.
Well, and sometimes I like am a little, I was thinking the other day, I was like, is experts the right word? Because sometimes I think people who are humble and have a ton of expertise are not necessarily going to even identify with that word. I'm like, right. Yeah, but you actually have like 20 years of experience, so maybe you do know a little bit about this thing, right? But yes, I think that you're giving us the nitty gritty, but and all the details of how to set this up. But I'm such a nerd for the psychological experience of what it's like for you to actually build this and to look forward to it, for it to feel like kind of easy or, I don't know, engaging for you too.
100%. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is it's, and again, this is like a life thing, but like in life, if you are like, it's one more thing I have to do, then that's not the way that you want to come off, to your community. Like your excitement will come out in that, and it's going to attract more people to it. And so I really think that it's a great place to build and create on.
Awesome. Yeah. I think there's anything else we should cover. Does anyone have any questions? Who's here?
There's a couple of people there in the chat. That was so nice. Rhonda said a little comment about
just how amazing. I'll read it so it's not awkward. Angie's coaching and tapping into her knowledge has been an excellent investment, and her coaching style makes it so easy to learn and retain to move forward with your own business or projects.
I love that. And what a good, that's the feeling you want from the people in your community. Like they're giving such value, be that, on Facebook or wherever. But any questions, we would love to ask and help if there's anything that anyone's focused on. I think the biggest, key is like, don't get overwhelmed and don't, okay. So like, I know you because you have this beautiful background in love of like color and perfection and all these things. Slap something up there, get it done, and then you can circle back later. And that's exactly what I did. Like I had a bunch of mismatched, cover pages in my classroom. And I was like, okay, it's okay. The content is there. That's what people are there for.
Totally. And I think that I like the idea, what you said of, I don't know, just like a quick win that someone's coming, especially if it's for a free piece, right? It's like when I think about the landing pages I have just for the apps I've made that are free, I still almost don't think there's enough. I think they almost need a video to see how to use it, right? Yep. And I put it in that thing, but I just feel like a learning container for even some of the free things that we offer would be cool, because people have different levels of comfortability or knowledge around AI. And a lot of the tools that we make are about AI stuff, right? How to use it, what to do with it. It takes me a few explanations and someone's like, oh yeah, I need that, right? I need that. Yeah.
And that's another nice feature that you can put links to all those things like you're talking about. You have your video and then a link to the tool. It's just all in one house, and it's so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you approach this posting? So how do you, because I know I don't know, how do you think of it differently when you're going on to post in your free Facebook group versus when you're going on to post here? Like, how do you kind of keep up with your tasks in your marketing versus your community engagement? in
Yes.
school.
Yes. And so that can feel like a lot. And so it's kind of crazy. What I do is when I'm in Claude, let's say, so here would be an example. I was preparing for this Claude artifact. Actually, it was for for this school thing here, this artifact that I made. And I was like, okay, now I made this artifact. Now I need to make a video about it. So I might as well teach people how to make an artifact since I just made one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I repurposed that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a post on Facebook, a post on Substack, like wherever my posting is. But then when I go into Skool, it's going to be a little bit more like it's like, I know this is weird, but it's like my little babies. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to, hey guys, it's more friendly, I guess, if that makes sense, because the people are connected to the topic. So I'll be like, hey, you guys made this video. If anyone wants it, here's the link. So it's more conversational, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's the other piece that I was thinking about in terms of why people post more. When you're on, just the psychological experience of like being on Facebook and posting in a group, I think takes a little bit of energy, a little bit of, sometimes I call it rice. Like it takes a little bit of energy because you don't know how people are going to respond. And because there's so many unknowns. I don't know who's in this group. There's tens of thousands of people here, right? It can be helpful for your visibility to post and comment. And there's people commenting just to market themselves, right? And their own expertise in your group or other people's big groups. And that's awesome. That's its own thing, right? That's its own process. But I would imagine in Skool, it's just so different. It's not really about flexing your expertise.
100%. I would agree 100% because like even in the group, there's people who are in similar spaces and they're asking questions and sharing things and getting feedback from people. And it's just so much, I feel it's really authentic, it's rather than feeling like it's salesy or they're trying to market there.
Well, and because it's so much more contained, right? We kind of have a sense about like who's who, and the people. That's kind of one of my goals about creating a mastermind is like knowing that I can offer people great things individually, but when they're in the room with each other,
yes,
that is so powerful because I don't know, that just the people who are interested in working with me have some commonalities, have some common values, and they just vibe in a way that's really helpful. And I think they speak to each other's challenges in a way that you, as a leader, you're just in a different position to do it,
Yes. And so using our example of our multiply group that we're in, it's this similar thing. Like when I first started out, I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm so nervous being here, but then after a while, it's like, oh, we're friends. Like we're friends on the screen. And now we're all talking about doing fun things together. And so I think that it's much, much like that.
It totally is. Yeah. Props to Molly.
Yeah, for
Molly
sure.
Mahoney, who we were in her multiply group because I've been in lots of other coaching spaces and she's quite exceptional in like holding that relationship or that vibe with people and making the community feel good,
100%.
Yeah. Awesome. We don't have any questions. I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm totally going to do it. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about my journey on Substack. And I also really hope that we can come back on maybe next month and check back in on whatever else. Maybe it's Claude. Have you dove into Claude Code yet?
Not code. I'm still like, I don't really get it. I'm just, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't get it. And I'm okay with that because here's the thing. And I say this from like a loving expert point of view that we are ready for learning when we're ready for it. And so like, if it's not the time, you don't have to learn everything. Now, if you would have said, Angie, are you using Claude agents right now? I would have a whole story to tell you about it and be like, oh my gosh, this. So to answer your question, no.
But that's the kind of honesty we need from people who are leading in this space is I actually think there's something so interesting about people who are, there's a woman on Instagram who calls us normies, which is basically non-developers, non-coders who are going on with, and just like, want to learn and want to get advanced and have access now because AI helps us become coders, right? And so as a normie,
I love it.
Or a noob, like I'm so fascinated by people who are like flying with this, right? Who don't really have developer or coding expertise, but something is happening in their brain where they're just like really propelling in learning and deepening their work, deepening their businesses. And I actually think we all have really interesting tips for people who are feeling overwhelmed, because I think for you, what you just said is so key, which is like, do not get caught up in the race, in the learning race, in the competition of I have to know code, right? Or whatever it is.
100%. And I think that, because I know I feel it, I'm sure you do too, but there's like this FOMO. So it's so bad. Like if I'm like, I don't know how to do something, well, I better learn, because what if I, XYZ? But the thing is, and we keep talking about this, if you're curious at all, you're already doing better than a lot of people. You'll be better off. Your business will be better off because you're taking that initiative to learn and get new information. But I think where the problem is going to be is if you're not interested at all and you're like, AIs can just go away. It's not going away, right?
Yeah. And I think there's kind of the magic of how do you bring you and an AI together and integrate it and understand when, like, I'm at a learning overwhelm, right?
Yeah.
Like I've started the Claude Code training from Molly like a couple times, and I know I'm going to get around, like there's, I'll get to it because mostly I just want to see it. And I feel like, you just start hearing about magical things, and there are magical things that happen, but then you're kind of like, oh, I still don't know if I need that.
Yes.
Especially if I know my audience, like months, maybe a year ago, I was watching a ton of automation videos on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go in there. We're going to go to NA, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, I just realized that the amount of effort it would take to get my audience to that point and the amount of grief is so unnecessary. Right. And like MindPal is there and these other things that make things so much more accessible. So do I need to invest my learning energy into that,
Right. And I know Rhonda, she mentioned, her FOMO is off the charts. And a lot of people that I talk to feel that way. I feel that way. But I think it's like our brains were not meant to take in all of this. And there was an article, it was so interesting. I meant to save it because it was about how like Claude is actually, did you read that? It was somewhere in Multiply. I don't know who shared it, but our brains are not meant to work at this speed and all of that. And so it's like, sometimes you just have to slow down. And like yesterday, I was like, I'm here doing this. And I was like, okay, my head hurts. So I just closed my laptop and I'm like, it's okay. Breathe. What do I need right now? What do I really need? And sometimes it's like, we can say that about our business. What do we really need? Make connections with people. Just talk to people. Like it can really be that simple.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think developing kind of an embodied practice where you're in your body, that's a fancy word for like being like, I'm literally focused on how I physically feel, which is probably not good, just like locked into a computer. Right. How do I get outside? How do I get my eyes off a screen and recheck in and say, okay, like, because I find that happens sometimes, even with simple AI tasks or artifacts that you're trying to create, you have like a little rabbit hole moment where you're like, why aren't you working?
Right.
And like, I was thinking about how developers, they like have that vocational structure in their life. And so they know probably when to close the laptop, right? Like just like as a teacher, you know when you need to like walk away from the classroom, right? And so, but I think we're doing things we've never done before. We don't know how to have these breaks. Yeah.
I love that. And one last thing is like thinking about, because I think it really comes down to like systems and like saying like, what do you really need? And then it's okay to listen, like, like that example of the blog. I loved listening to what they were doing. Right now, I don't need that. I am like, I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to focus on Substack. I don't need to have a blog, but it's interesting to know, yeah, that's out there, but I don't have to do it all. So same thing for, all of the things.
Well, I am so grateful. I feel like I got such a rich amount of time. I know that sometimes I'm mindful about how nobody's attention span is 50 minutes, but I'm like, this is so special to have your time,
You're so sweet. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Well, we'll just keep on sharing the good stuff in the world, and I appreciate you chatting. And
yeah, and we will like again, we've never done this before, so I don't know like what happens in the posting. What I've heard is it can go to YouTube, it can go to but I just haven't figured any of this out yet. So
when you figure it out, let me know. I know the other day when I went on by myself live, for like 5 minutes,
yeah,
just talked a little.
Yeah. How did it go?
It was so cool. Afterwards, it's like, hey, I made these assets for you, and they were videos. Now, girl, I never get. So then I took the video. It was like 1 minute. Put it on Facebook. I had over 500 views. Now, I don't know why, if it was the topic or the way the words were on there. I don't know, but I was real excited about it. So
I'm excited. Yeah. So we're going to
tell me what happens after we're done here.
Yeah. I love it. This has been great. I would
so awesome.
Do it again. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, girl. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Rhonda.